Hey there, good evening from Monday night to the Area 51 Raceway. How you doing today? It is Monday, it is Labor Day. I was not going to do it live, but Dave convinced me, just do one. I bet people will come. So, looks like people did come, so I appreciate it. And yeah, happy Labor Day. I hope everybody had a good time, barbecuing and being with friends, which I was today. Was some friends came over and had a lot of help with Blender, which was pretty cool. So I got to learn a little bit from my son's friend, who is 13 years old and knows how to work Blender very well. And he showed me how to manipulate certain things in the program. So I was schooled by a 13-year-old kid, which I'm totally fine with that. Very smart young man. And he was able to teach me some things today, and it was pretty cool. It's us old guys, we still learn from the young group as well. So it was really cool to have that, and that interaction. It was really nice for him to come up because I had mentioned it, and he'd said, "Yeah, I know how to work Blender." 'Cause I was talking to his dad about why I'm doing some 3D prints and just to have some bodies for myself and stuff like that. But anyways, so thank you. Welcome to the live stream, and we're gonna do a little roll call here and check to see who's here, and we'll go through. So Tad said he couldn't join us tonight, which is fine. He's gonna have to miss this one. He said, "Why is this not?" Here we go. So no problem, Tad. Hope you're enjoying your Labor Day. You probably have family and friends, so that's important. So I'm glad you're doing that. So we have Gene. How you doing, Gene? Hope you're doing well. We have Dave, who I was helping, and he was helping me earlier with some numbers. And we have John Tucci joining us. How you doing, John? Thanks for coming today. And we have Mark Cunningham. How you doing, Mark Cunningham? Nice to have you here. We have HSF Racing. All right. And we have Robert Lee. How you doing, Robert Lee? Hope your vacation was good. I know you went on vacation. I hope you had a good time. And cool. And we have Bo. How you doing, Bo? Nice to join us. Appreciate it. And we have Gary Dunmore. How you doing, Gary? Thanks for coming, as always. Always a pleasure. And then we have Mr. John Albright, Mr. Big John. How you doing, John? Hope everything's going good for you, and you're doing well. And we have Joe Slockhart Dojo. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And we have Nobody's Home. Thank you for coming. And we have Mr. Clearwater. How you doing, Mr. Clearwater? Thanks for joining me here. Appreciate it. And cool. And we have RW53. Good evening, RW53. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. So we got a few people on. I'm pretty surprised. I didn't think anybody was going to come over. To be honest, 'cause I figured everybody busy with barbecuing and entertaining guests and family. Which we cooked ribs today, and had some macaroni and cheese and hamburgers and some good food. Really, a lot of good food and a lot of good company. And I got a bunch of help today, which was cool. So, how's everybody else doing tonight? Has anybody got the Slot Car Corner email saying that the Datsuns will be available soon? So that's pretty cool. I know everybody's waiting to see for those Datsuns, so they'll be coming out soon. So keep your ear to the ground on that one, because those will come and go faster than you could think, because Datsuns are pretty popular. So don't forget that. And basically, what I've been doing really is just a lot of 3D printing. I know I've been getting a lot of questions with one question that comes up consistently is that, hey, are you going to sell those? At this point, I would say no, because I'm trying to get to learn what to do first and just do things on my own. I don't consider selling anything, to be honest. But if it happens, it will happen, and we'll just leave it at that for now. But again, I'm trying to perfect what I could do, just trying the three different resins that I've been using, and then doing a bunch of other stuff, and just getting together with the other guys, the other amigos, because they have printers as well on the way, and yeah, so they're going to be doing some 3D printing because they've seen the success I've had. So they decided to go that route and ditch the resin silicone mold traditional way, because it's expensive and a lot more time consuming, and the technology is finally caught up with us that we could actually do stuff now. And again, uh, anybody can do it. It's just if you want to do it. And as far as, like, again, selling, I'm not sure I want to do that at all, because that just entails a lot of more uh, issues you have to deal with, which is customers in general are really a pain in the ass. And just, if something goes wrong or they don't feel that it's right, and I just don't want to deal with that. I'm just building them to because I can, and I'm doing it because I want to. And so it's just something that I've been posting on the forum board. And if you guys haven't been following the forum, you should be, because there is a post under the 3D section, which I've been relatively just updating it. I know I put pictures on Facebook, but I try and give a little bit more to the forum, because I think that's a little bit more important than the Facebook page. I know Facebook makes this real kind of a little bit easier to just put stuff on there than the forum, but again, just trying to you know do things my way and see how it goes, until I'm comfortable with what. So running out of room for more cars, working on a remedy for that. I bet you are, John. I know you're you're expanding, I'm sure, so that's cool to hear. And I don't know if you guys have seen Kevin Sharp is building a track for his garage finally. And it's a nice looking track, and I'm looking forward to heading over to tomorrow and checking it out. And I know he's got it painted. He's moving progressively pretty quick, so I think he'll have the track hopefully ready to go tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to bringing some cars over there and just laying in some rubber on his new on his new creation. But if you haven't seen it, it's very, very beautiful track. So, Oscar, how you doing? Thanks for joining us, man. Customers can be difficult indeed. You have no idea. Yeah, Oscar knows more than anybody, and I'm sure everybody else that's dealt with, in general. Again, the 3D printing thing, I've been getting that, hey, are you going to sell? But again, like I said, I'm not comfortable with that yet, and I'm not at this point. I really don't want to. But we'll see as the future turns out how everything goes. But you never know. But anyways, again, thanks, Oscar, for coming. Appreciate it. And with Bo here, we got Dave. So usually kick against might help. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Something about a power supply. I think you can buy the files, but I'm not sure if you can sell the products. Yep, sure can. You can buy the files and do it yourself. I know the the Creality is Mailot Hage is what Danny and Gene have, and they've done some pretty good progress. So I mean, um, it's not easy. It can be a little bit difficult with some things, but you're able to read up more and figure out. And then I have Elegoo, who's been really helpful with with my questions. So one of the questions was, there's two type of ABS resins they sell. They sell something called the ABS like 2.0, and then they have the ABS like 3.0. And I kind of threw that out. Hey, what's the difference? So basically, the 3.0 is a little cheaper and it has more fluidity to it. So what I'm finding out is that it's less dense, in my opinion, and that's why it's cheaper. I know the 3.0 bodies I printed out, they're a little bit lighter than the 2.0 ones. They still have the same durability and stuff. I don't see it being an issue, but I think it has to do with if you're, running a business and you want to make it cheaper for yourself, then you go with the cheaper resin if it gives you the same results. But either way, it's all good. But I'm thinking I'm going to stick with the 2.0 and the Sunloo. Those are the two that I like the most so far. Hello, Bama Scale Models. Hello from Alabama. Well, hello from North Carolina, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate that. It's good to have some Bama here. All right. Cool. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah, John here. Have a spare hammer. It's always polished and ready to go. My hammer's a little battered because I use them for work. But yep. Cool. Yeah, hammer time. John knows a lot about the hammer. More than you know. So, you guys, yeah, Kevin's really got a nice track. And it's a 4-lane, real nice road course. It's got nice straights, nice turns. the way he laid it out is really nice. And again, really excited to see how that's going to turn out. And hopefully, I'll have the braid laid in by tomorrow, and we could start racing as soon as possible. Because again, I'm gonna be bugging him tomorrow and ask him how's it going. But I won't go until it's complete. 'Cause I know he's running a business too. But and then going back to the body mountain jig, so we'll see tomorrow. Hopefully, he'll have it. He should have the test plates that we're doing. We got some new ones printed up, so we'll see how those go. And if they're approved by the three amigos, then Kevin will be putting them up for sale. So I mean, um, we'll see how that goes. I'll do a quick video about the updated one and see how that works. But it's any little bit helps with mounting bodies, because mounting bodies could be pretty tough. So, but let me see if I can pick up. I don't know if I have a picture of Kevin's track. I know he put it on Facebook, and let me look, because he also put it in a Home Racing World. If you guys haven't seen it, and man, it's pretty cool looking. Let me go through the post here. So another reminder: when people are joining the Home Racing World Facebook page, you have to answer 4 questions. And that seems to be very difficult for people to do. They're 4 basic questions. Usually when I'm looking at the approvals, because I'm on admin on there, and I usually get slot cars, and then no answer, no answer, no answer. And it's basically just a decline. If I see somebody trying to get into the group and they have like like 700, 800, 1,000 groups, 500 groups, that's usually a no-go, because that means they're a spammer, because they have all these multiple groups, which is really ridiculous. So, I just don't really approve those. So make sure you answer all the questions. You have a profile picture and a profile, because if you don't have a profile picture or an actual profile, we're going to think you're some type of spammer or a seller, and then we just don't approve you. And then posts don't get approved also. So that's really important. So I'm still looking for this darn thing. Let's go to Kevin's page here. Kevin's, here we go, slot car page. I know he's got pictures of that in there. So here we go. So let me switch to the interweb screen, and I'm going to show you guys Kevin's stuff, which is super cool. His track's really nice. I think it's super cool. So reading is fundamental. Yes, sir. Oh my God, that's so true. Yep, and not sure if I know all much about the hammer, but I do know all how to find the start button. Yep, here you go. There's no link. It's on this Facebook page. Nobody told me. I'm going to show you in a minute here, so hold on a second. You do models or RC? Strictly RC. Bama scale models, I don't do no RC. This is all slot car, 132nd, 125th scale, sometimes 124th. I don't do any RC. Harry does do some RC. He does the crawlers, but I haven't really dealt into that, because that's another rabbit hole that'll get expensive, and I just don't want to do that. But no, sir, I don't do RC. I do the scratch built slot cars, which are dirt track racers, and stuff that we have for the events for Home Racing World on the proxies every January and every July. Those are the 2 times of the year that they run the proxy, and then they have a little fun run on Labor Day, which was this weekend, but that's not an official event. So there you go. Hope that answers your question. So let's go to the computer screen, and there we go. So there is Kevin's track. It is really a cool looking track, and I really am excited to head over there and check it out. So I'm going to show you some more pictures of it here, and so you can see what it looks like. And man, what a pretty looking track. I'm telling you, very, very nice. Look at that. That is cool. That's painted recently. That was today. So I'm pretty sure he's going to paint the lanes, what he told me. And it's a beautiful looking track. I'm not looking at comments at the moment because I'm looking at the screen, so I'll get to the comments in a sec. But man, that's a nice layout. That's just really nice, man. I can't wait to see, what else comes next there. And pretty cool. But I thought I'd show everybody that. I hope Kevin didn't mind I show his track. And there you go. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun to run on that when it's all completed. So pretty good stuff there. Otherwise, nothing much going on really. It is Labor Day today, and again, everybody's doing their barbecue and all that stuff, and all good. So, yeah, it is a beautiful track. You did a real nice job on that one. And Kevin does build those tracks, so you know. Soccer of Atlanta. Cars of Atlanta? Excuse me. How you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us. Appreciate that for joining the live stream. Yeah, Gary, that's a real nice track, and I know Kevin's always wanted something for his house, and he waited a long time, and he's finally gonna get it. So it's gonna be pretty cool running on that, and just run some laps and having a good time. So really cool. Yeah, Greg's a nice track. Again, Kevin has been building tracks for probably about over half a year now. I was his first beta tester, so I mean, Area 51 is one of the first tracks that I got from him, and he's improved on them. There's a lot of improvements he's done to make it a little bit more, easier. The one thing he does now is that before he would want to, well, his intentions was to sell the tracks and then have people put them together, but he's finding out that people are still having a difficulty putting them together, so he has decided if you order the track, he will go and install it himself. And he's gone as far as Montana, Idaho to install these tracks. So, I mean, it's quite a feat and takes a lot because, so again, how you doing there, sir? Thank you. It's good that he's doing that. It's this way, if he finds any issues, he can take care of it there. But if any of you guys, what he does is he sells his tracks on the website, so he has base models basically that are already ready to go to cut. So if you want like an Area 51 track, you could have that one, and then you could extend it to make it longer by adding straights or whatnot. And then there are tracks that are custom made that you have to pay a CAD fee for the designer to design a track you want, and that's how that works. So a lot of people kind of get misunderstood by going there and going, "Oh, I want this track," and they don't understand. Well, you have to, if we're going to design one, that's going to be extra too for the design and everything. So, but anyways, that's Kevin's a good guy. Like I said, he's a hobbyist, which is good. So, Gene, I've had fun weekend building my winter proxy NASCAR. All right, Gene. Yeah, I'm falling a little behind on stuff because I've been doing a lot of 3D printing. I'm trying to get some cars ready for Harry and Dave so they could test them out. So the first cars that we did were the Hudson, the Mercury, and the 37 Ford, and they weren't really scaled correctly. They were kind of goofy. So here's a one right here. So this is a Mercury, and this is scaled correctly, and we were doing it wrong, and we realized how what numbers to put in to make it better, because the first round of cars I sent them, they weren't really right. They looked like Toontown cars. And here you have the Hudson Hornet, and they're very durable and thick. This is a good file. I mean, you can see how thick they are. They're not weak, and they don't shatter when you drop on the ground. They're going to be doing some more durability tests. This is the 55 Chevy, and this I had to thicken this one out because this was too thin, and I'll show you what they look like on some of these files. So an example is the Grand National. I'll show you a body of when I first printed the Grand National. Hold on a second here. Okay, the Grand National, the first car I did, the roof line was all wrong. We corrected it. But then again, I printed one from the file that I got from 3D, 3D printables. That's how thin that was. Pretty thin. I figure maybe, no, not really. I don't think it's already cracked. It's not going to survive an impact. You see I already cracked the roof. You know what I mean? So I had to go to Blender and thicken that one, and here's the results. You can see the difference. So this is a lot thicker. It's not going to break. It's easy. Obviously, if I really want to, I'll break it, but I mean, this will survive an impact. And this is what it takes to make this car this way. It takes a little time. So everybody's got to realize that this is something that's easy, but it's not easy because a lot of people want it like now. But the printers that we have now that Elegoo is putting out, and I'm sure there's other companies, are making it easier for you to make the adjustments and print. So here's the Demon with the thickened shell, and this was a thin one too. The Demon was this original file, and you could see 13.7 grams. This one's a little bit heavier, but not too heavy. And you can see the difference. So, I mean, this is the Dodge Demon, of course. So it takes a little time to do this stuff, and then you have to print to make sure it comes out correct. And then I haven't had a print. I've only had one print failure, and it was because the AMX that I did, the nose was kind of sloopy, and I do have an AMX. Yes, I do, but I have to go to that file and make that body thicker because it's too thin. So, and then the files you get, some of them read 1618. That's the thickness, and some of them don't because they're more static models where they come with parts that you have to add and stuff. But that's how it usually is. You just have to figure things out. So let's see. The 126 scratch kit is sold out again. Oh, really? Well, we'll have to see when Steve gets them back. So I'm sure if you email him, nobody's home. So email Steve at Stock Car Corner and ask him, hey, when are you going to get the 126 kits back in stock? He'll give you an answer right away. So just bear that. So, but I'm finished the 29 Ford Roadster pickup, then NASCAR. All right, cool. Right on, Greg. The first one looked like it came from Roger Rabbit. Yeah, it was like a Toontown car. It was pretty goofy. So we had to fix that, and we realized what we were doing wrong and stuff like that. But it's all good. Hey, look who's here. Mr. Jeff G. Jeff. How you doing, Jeff? Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad you like it. They're good bodies, you know. Glad you like that one. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming by tonight. And we have K.R. Bridges. And happy Monday to you, sir, from Western Pennsylvania. I hear from North Carolina. So I hope you're having a good time. Thanks for joining. Then we have Gary Driscoll. How you doing, Gary? All right. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Greg, it's all good. I'm working on the body now. I'll order as soon as they get back in stock. Yeah, you could do that too. And it'll come back in stock. Just email them. They'll give you an answer. Dave, yes, I got it. Gonna buy a 6-pack. Yep. So that's basically what I've been doing. And Dave's been a big help because he's been giving me the numbers to get the correct length. And even though I know I could do it, but I want his help. And then I was helping him with his slicer program because his printer's on his way. So he's going to start printing as well. And just helped him out with setting his printer up for certain resins have a different exposure level. That's the only thing I mess with on the Elegoo machine is the exposure level. And that's basically what I just mess with. So I was looking at some printers but have some scratch filling cards I have to do. I will get one maybe in a few months. Take your time, Gary. Just get your chassis stuff down first, and then you could go to the body. You know, because you could grab a body from something else and just that's already made. I would just make sure you're able to get your chassis together and a roller, and then go from there. So I could kind of walk you through the, basically what I do with the Chitu box and stuff. George, yes. Yeah, as always, you're doing great things. I appreciate that. Just trying to see what would happen. It was just putting your toe in the water and see what you could get out of this. That's what started all this between Harry, myself, and Dave at the showdown in SummerSlam, and we were talking, because Harry had all these plugs and stuff, and the silicone's starting to tear, and when that happens, the mold is no good, and you have to start all over again with $100 worth of silicone, and then to pour it over the master, if you have a master, or to make a master, or pour over the existing master, and then vacuum it, and then you get 18 pulls out of that, and then you're back in the same boat. So the resin printer seems more economical. A bottle of resin, 1,000 grams, is like $15-16, and then if you go to 2,000 grams, it's $39. So it's double the price. You get about out of this resin that I just finished with, you get about 9 bodies out of 1,000 grams of the Elegoo 3.0 resin. Now I got the 3.0 to just experiment. So we're sticking with the 2.0, and then I want to go back to the Sunlu because the Sunlu is a real good one too. And I think about 18 to 20 cars, depending how thick they are and depending which ones you use. Uh, I would say you get about 20 cars if they're not super thick bodies out of 2,000 grams. So that's 10 cars, 1,000 grams. So that's not too bad. So, and that's like, if you were to buy the resin, $40, and then of course your cleaning supplies what you use. But all good. So, oops. Thank you, Robert Lee. Appreciate that. So we'll talk more about 3D printing here. So let me switch screens here. And you know what? I could show you. So let me show you. Hopefully I can see your comments. What I do here. So this is Chitu box. Okay, here's Chitu box. So everybody can see that. This is basically your build plate. So what I do is I add my car. So I'll add a car from bodies that I have. Say I have one ready to print. So these right here have been adjusted properly. So let's say we'll do the Buick Grand National, the GN, right? We'll open it and it throws it on the build plate. So this is the actual size of the file, and you could spin it and then move the car around. But what I'll do is I will spin this, and I have everything written down because don't have everything by memory. And I'll go to the scale. I've done this on the video too that I posted about this. So let me look at my notes here. What the Grand National scale for the Grand National is, or millimeters, what we're looking at. So it's 159 millimeter body length. So right here, I hit lock ratio because when you lock ratio, all these other numbers, the Z and the X, are going to conform. So the Z is the height, the X is the width, and the Y is the length. So I'm saying, what was it, 159. So I'll go here. It's at 279, too much. Type in 159, enter. Now everything drops into place. So all the height and width will coincide because they're locked, and it'll be the scale. So we're at 56.80%. And this box right here shows you that. And I could remove that box by doing that. So I have my car here. So I usually will spin it this way to print. Right. And I go to my elevation right here. So this is the Y. You're going to elevate it. You could either grab this ring or move it, but I go here and I'll go 13 degrees. I know we started at 30, but I think that was a little too much, and it was just a waste of resin for extra supports that it doesn't need because the print's fine. So I have my body angled like the way I want it to, right? So slice settings. So for this printer, I have the machine. This tells you what it is. I don't mess with any of this stuff. The resin is what I added. You could add your resin, what it is, and if it was to do it by cost, if you were charging, all this other stuff, the print layer height and all that, I don't mess with any of that. That's all stuff I do not need to touch. Later on, as I get in advance, I'll deal with anti-aliasing or something like that, but I just don't do that. So when I go to print, for this exposure time, I've selected 3.300. Exposure time is of normal print layers. So for this resin, I've tested that. And what I did to test it was use the cones of calibration. So there's a tabletop game, what was it called? Hold on a second here. Sorry about that. So the people at I think it's Tabletop Foundry. So they have a print that you do that's called the cones of calibrations, and I'll get into that. So this is how I got this exposure time. I didn't mess with nothing else. There was no reason to mess with any of this. It's only the exposure time that I deal with when I'm messing with, the printer. So I have all this done, right? So when I go to here, I go to the supports. Now on the supports, I had an issue with this resin to where, so you could add individual supports too, but I'm not doing that because the auto support feature works well. So when you go to advance here, this was an issue, was these were too big and this shaft part was too large. And when it was happening, it was hard to rip these off, and it was leaving large dimples. So Elegoo had told me to change this value and then this value, which I did, and now these tear off nice and clean and easier. So that's just a setting I have for this particular, way I'm doing any of these models right here, because that works, because the supports come off easy and it's great. When they're difficult to come off, that's when you have issues, and that's why you use this test, which I'll show you in a minute here. And then here is everything that you use light supports, because this is what works for this model. And then you click the auto support, and then you auto support everything, because it's going to add it in there for you. And there you go, there's your supports. That's everything right there. So that's how you get it. So we got a question here. So question is, one sec here. Area 51, question, are you only using gray resin, or are you using other colors? Well, I'm only using gray resin because that's what I'm using. They do have other colors. I just see no need to use any other colors right now, because I'm not doing that. That's a real good question. The Elegoo does make the different colored, and other companies do. They make black, dark gray, light gray, white, green, blue, red, yellow. They make a light blue. They also make translucent resins like clear green, and you start getting into different things. They make a clear resin, which is all like for windows, or a translucent one that's just frosted. There's a lot of different color resins out there. Right now, I'm just dealing with gray because these are bodies. So that's what I pick. And whatever the color of the resin is, too, because some of the resins have a different color to it. They may be a little darker gray or lighter gray, so it just depends. But very good question. Thanks for answering that. So back to this here real quick. So I put my auto supports, and this is cool because you could go in here closer and look at your supports if you wanted to. See, you could add to it too. Say you want to add to this, you click it to add to it, and you can look at it from below, and you see this is where everything is pinned and supported, where all the supports are going to be. And these were where we want to break off easily when we finish the car, when it's finished printed. All this should rip off fairly easy without breaking or damaging the body. Now, here it comes down to touch distance is one of the things that are right here. You see it illustrated. Now, you see how they really get up there all together real close? I did that to one body, and I put it in the video I did about this printer, as they were too close. So they were basically almost fused together with the body, and it just turned into like a big glob of, supports all together, and it was impossible to rip off because you ended up breaking the body. And that turns into a disaster. So you learn as you go, and then also it's unnecessary waste of resin, because you're using a ton of supports. They're too close together. You're using more resin, and resin is a little, it costs you. So you want to do it in an efficient and more productive way where you're not wasting it. So we have another question here, and this is from Gary Driscoll. Do you also make windshields and the windows for the doors? No, I don't, because they're mod dirt cars. You can. Some of these files do have supported windshield methods to where you could print them. There is another gentleman called the Scale Model Experiment who is pretty good at doing this stuff also. You can look at his channel. He's done windows, but he's vacuum formed them from 3D printed windows. So he gets like a 3D printed window, and he takes that and he vacuum forms plastic over that mold that he has printed and makes windshields. But yeah. And dirt cars, I would use the mesh, because it's a dirt car. I mean, they don't have windshields; they have that mesh because they're dirt track racers. But I mean, you could add a windshield. Not saying you can't. It's very possible to do that. So when we got this all done, right here, so what you do is you hit slice. I have the cavity selector off because I don't need to detect cavities in this. It's just not reason for just this model or any models that I do so far. And then what I'll do is I hit slice, and this will slice this program, meaning it will add the layers to the car, generating them, so it'd be ready to go for your printer. And we're going to wait for this to load, which should take it a little bit, and we'll just do the generating slice preview. And it will go to another section, which I'll show you. It's called Detect Islands. And I always delete the detect islands. From what I understand, the detect islands are like, how how would I want to explain this? And I'm not good at doing explaining this. So here, I'm going to hit island detection right here. Let me try and get you an answer for that. So the detecting islands, which I have looked up because there's an explanation for it, and I'll show you. Detect islands, because I don't know the layman's terms of it. I just know I don't use them. So here's your explained. I have explained it from here. So the Cheaty box is the island detect features that you be used after you slice a model. The islands it detects are the pixels in each layer of the slice model that have no model parts or supported connected to, regardless of the area. The following image illustrates that. So there you go. There you have it. So pieces that are not part of the model, that's basically what it is. So, I mean, they're doing dental stuff here. That's just the best way I could explain it to you, what they explain. But I know I remove them because I don't need them. Hey, how you doing there, Marty? Welcome to the live stream. Glad you can join us. So, one sec here. Let it do the island detect. And then right here, you'll see the machine, the resin, the volume, the weight, what it'll be, which will be 55 grams. The price, if you were to do it, for the resin you'd charge. And then the time is 2 hours and 16 minutes for printing this whole body. So we got a question here from Jeff G. Jeff, let's see, we got George File question. Are you just dealing with one place to get your file, or how big is the catalog of files out there? Are there paid subscriptions or free files? So there are free files out there, Jeff. And then there's also paid files. So look, ones I've been getting for these cars are 3D Printables shop. And it's a gentleman in Spain that does these. But you can go to 3D Cults. There's a lot of car files on there. They do charge for them. Some are free and some are charged cars. So the charge part it's not bad. You're talking at $10, $12, sometimes 20 or more, because the programmer has put a lot of work into making these. So here's my detect files, 242. So I want to go over this real quick before I finish that one. So I'll go here to delete all islands, and I'll delete all islands. And then network sending, that means that this type of printer right here is a Wi-Fi. So I could send this to the printer by doing this and clicking, and then I send the file, and it uploads it, and I could print from here. And then you're all set. And then what's another cool feature of this printer in particular is that it has a camera. So the printer's idle. So then I could turn the camera on and I can monitor my print if I want to sit here for 2 hours and look at this move and print. The VAT is really low right now. I tried to print another car. It told me it wasn't enough resin. There's very little left in there. So that's the 3.0 resin. I'm going to go to the 2.0 resin, which I have already. So that's just a little nice feature of the Saturn Ultra. That's just a little extra bells and whistles. So, but anyways, so let me get back to answering questions here, because I know there was a couple of them that people were asking. And let me see here. I have multiple camera things on here. Why? Here we go. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. So, but yeah, Jeff, there's a ton of them out there. 3D Cults is one big one. There's other little file programs for FDM and for resin. The one I get through is 3D prints. 3D Print Shop is where I get it from, and they got a lot of cars on there. And obviously, the gentleman doesn't, who makes the files doesn't. You'll look at one file and it says 62 Camaro. Well, we know there was never a 62 Camaro. It's a 69 Camaro. So I mean, you give him a break. He's got a lot of European cars on there as well. So let me get some more questions here, because there was somebody asking. Stock Cars of Atlanta was asking, can you make a Bugatti body? If there's a file for it, yes, you can. If you know how to use Blender, you could do that also. But I'm not a Blender 3D model creator, so I would probably look for a file. But yeah, I'm sure they're out there. You could get a Bugatti. So, but yes, sir. Yeah, in 124 or 125th or 132nd. Once you get the file, you could scale it to wherever you want, as you could see what I did there. And on the video that I made about this printer, Dave talks about that, where to go to. So if you want a 124 scale car, it tells you how to do it there from the 1-to-1 car. So if you check that video, I'll explain that. So, John Tucci, how you doing, man? I don't know if you were here already or not, but thanks for joining us. So we have R Wahoo. How you doing? Thank you for joining the live stream here. I like your Batman emblem. It's pretty cool. So question, is this slicer free or do you have to purchase it? Sorry if you've answered this already. No problem there, Wahoo. So it's free. The software is free. It's the basic. For what I'm doing, all I need is basic. If you were doing more in-depth stuff, they have a pro version. It's like $139 a year for it. But I'm not making little miniature figures or Warhammer guys because those things are really detailed. I'm just wanting to make some slot car bodies for 132nd for myself. So the program's free. So Chi2 box is free, and so is Lychee, the basic one. If you go to Pro, that's when you pay more money and you have to pay yearly. So hope that answers your question, sir. Yeah, let's see. So Gene, I use Lychee Slicer and it is free when I got it. Yep, sure is. Oh, that's free. Very free. So I think Gene actually did. Cool. So we got Bo here. What's Bo saying? So you got kicked out of Peter's garage. I saw. Be careful with more stuff. Okay. I don't know what that means. Anyways, here we go. We have Wahoo again. I don't understand the camera need. Most of the time the plate is under the resin. It's there for, so it's an AI camera or Wahoo. So it's supposed to detect failed prints. It'll detect if there's an issue with, low resin or if the vat gets overflown, overfilled, which it did that to me and it stopped because if it would have kept going, it would have dumped it all over the screen. So it's an intelligent camera. It watches the print and it also does high speed, photography. If you want to do you could see a high speed video of it, but it's actually an AI camera. If you read on it, that's what it's for. So that's what the camera's for. But if you don't want it, you don't have to. You get the regular the Saturn 4 that doesn't have that, and it's a little bit cheaper. It's just less bells and whistles. That's all. So, but anyways, Ford could turn it into a gas, brother. I don't know what you guys are talking about. The garage, I guess, from Show Me Slot Cars. That was a cool video. If anybody hasn't seen it, the little garage, pretty neat. That's FDM printing. So I mean, you could do a lot of different things with FDM as long as it's as well as with resin. So pretty cool. So the cones of calibration. So that's what I want to get into. So when you are testing your resin, and this is what I did. It's this from Tabletop Foundry. I think it is something like that. Let me go back to the computer screen here, and I didn't know I had it up there. Sorry. And we're gonna go on to this right here. All right, and I'm going to show you this one, Table Flip Foundry. Okay, so here is the cones of calibration. So this is a free file to download, and you read on all this. It's very good reading, and what it is you are testing your printer's settings and all this stuff that makes your print look good and prints correctly. So here's an animation of the atonement block. So this is the sword that should only fit part way. That's what you're testing right there. And then you test with a micrometer that it is 6 millimeters there and 6 millimeters there. That's the purpose of it, the first part of this thing. And then there's the ale of accuracy, how accurate your print is. So you will snap the ale part off, and if it fits into the cup perfectly, then your accuracy is good, just like that. Okay, and then you have the Sword of Truth. The Sword of Truth is another animation that you break it off, and what you're going to do is you put this through the skull, and it should fit to the skull perfectly and easily, just like that. And then the next section is the gap test. And what this is, if you see right there, get rid of that. It's showing you the gaps. This is to the details. So this is a series to increase your position of your print, and it's showing you all those right there. Exactly what they should be like. Usually they're all printed out and look thin there. Then you have the 360 cones. So this is the success part of it. So right here, all these cones, they should be all connected together perfectly, which is success, which is the successful side. And then the failure side, should be just failed, not connected. Even there's a little bit sagging down, that's fine as long as they're not connected. That's your failure. That's a pass. So you're good there. That's what these are the cones part that they're talking about. Hold on there. I'll get to questions in a second. I miss you. And then you have down here a troubleshooting chart. So basically, is water going to the mug with force? Yes. Right. So sword. So if it's a no, then you have a lower exposure print again. Print again. Lower exposure too low. Sword of truth goes into the skull. Yes. If no, do you have any failed cones? Lower exposure for better dimensional accuracy. Stay here to avoid losing tensile strength. Keep exposure. Resonance too weak to get both. There's a bunch of things I can read here, but it basically is like a troubleshooting chart. If something doesn't work, they should, and it's really good. This is a good thing for testing your resin to make sure you get a good print. So when you first get a printer, this is the first thing you should download, and it's free to download this, and you do your test. And that's a really excellent way to check your resin, and it just makes things just a little easier. So I hope that kind of helps out somebody. Yep, it is. The tables, these people who do wargaming stuff have it down. So, I mean, you have to give them, credit. I hope that helped you there, Mr. Arwahoo. Yeah, it is pretty slick, pretty smart. These people are smart to think of this stuff. So that's how you test your resin. So, for example, right now the resin I'm using, I'm fine with it. It works good, and I did do the test, and it's right here, and you could see the success of it. I have a backup because I don't have. Let me see if I can use the iPhone camera to show better what I'm talking about. Let me switch to the iPhone camera. You can see my drink and everything on the TV. But here we go. See that? That's good. And on the other side, failed. Perfect. And then all this is fine. The mug, the mug, the stuff fits in there. The sword goes in the skull. I have it out of the skull, but it goes in there fine. And this is the setting I use, 3.3. And then also, when you break this off the supports, you're going to know also if they break off easy, and you got your supports right. Now, for example, I'm going to show you here on the table. Here's one I did at 3.5. Now, it was hard to remove the supports, too, because I had the support setting wrong. And as you can see, the failure looks okay, but then you look at the success, looks all right. But I couldn't get the sword to the skull, and the ale wasn't fitting all the way. See how the ale's sticking out a little? That's not good. This one was worse. I think this was 3.0. You can see the supports weren't even coming out. They leave that. It means the supports are not set right to break off easily. None of this really, that fit okay, but the sword part isn't going well. And then this is the 2.5 setting, and it's just, some of it worked and some of it didn't. As you can see success, you can see where the cones didn't all the way develop through. That means there's problems with exposure, and the failure was okay. So those are the little things that help you determine the resin, and just it's just a guide to help you out. That's the whole point of that, is to help you out with not having to waste resin. Because if you were to do a full car print and that happens, and you're going to get pissed off because you're going to be wasting resin. So, oh, great, a crappy print, and you can't pull the supports off. It breaks the body. The body doesn't look really detailed. That's why you do that little one first. And that thing's tiny. So it's real small like this. So you print that out first before you actually print your body, and to make sure everything's good. And then when you have a good setting, exposure setting, like they're in the printer section to fix the exposure, to change it, then you should go from there. The machine really does a lot of the work. I'm not doing anything fantastic and working miracles. It's really the machine. Once you get everything set and you do this stuff, you get yourself some good prints, and figures and stuff like that. If you want to go that route to do, scenery for figures, and there's a lot of those out there. Chris, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. And we have Mr. Slucker Hub. How you doing there? Thanks for joining us here. I know it's morning for you, and you're probably getting ready to head to work. So cool. And then you get Bo here. That is a nice device for checking the right print. Yep, it helps. It helps a lot because, again, it keeps you from wasting a whole amount of resin on the body, which, guess who's done it? I have. So If I would have known that about that before, I would have did that first. So I'm just passing that information to you guys. I'll probably do a video on it later on as I progress more to doing other things. But anyways, that's basically kind of the rundown of what I do. I hope that kind of helps somebody. And hey, there we go, Steve. How you doing, Mr. Sawtell? Yes, sir. Steve's a man. So Steve is. I sent some bodies to Steve, and he liked them. He thought they were real cool, just for him to look at them, and he liked them very much. He thought it was very very amazing how they came out. And again, yeah, guys, trust me, it is all the machine. I'm not doing any miracles. I'm just following the recipe that the gamers put out with those cones of calibration. And then, I email Elegoo if I run into a problem, the manufacturer, and they tell me what to do. And once I got everything set to go, it's when the file is set, it's in the machine. I don't have to re-slice it every time up here because it's in the machine's local memory. And I think it has 6 gigabytes of onboard memory, so it's got a lot. All I have to do is go to the card that I have on there and hit print, and it prints. And that's it. You get that. You get this stuff. This is what you get. Scaled to what you want it to. So, but, again, it takes a little work. Like again, like this is real thin, and then you have to adjust the file. That's when you have to learn Blender, and you get it like this. Now with Blender is another program that I've been working with to see if I can make flares and then cut this out more to make a more showdown car, because a showdown car has cut out wheel wells. And here's an example of the body of one. You see how that looks? That's where I'm trying to get at with Blender. If I could do that and master that, then I could print this, and I think I'll be all set with doing that. That's my whole goal later on. Right now, I'm doing baby steps. I'm trying to slowly get into learning things first and finding out how it's all about. And then once I get it down, then I could, just start printing stuff and share a little information with you and what I did. So, but again, I really want to thank Sam. So again, my wife's good friends, they have a son named Sam, and he's 13 years old, and he was showing me how to use Blender to make flares on the model, because he told me, yeah, I could show you how to do it. It's not that hard. And this kid's real talented, man. So again, hey, I'm up to learning from anybody. It doesn't matter what age they are. If they have the experience, I'm good. So I learned a little bit from him, and he showed me really easily how to do it. So I've been experimenting with that. So, it just takes, it takes time, and it takes some people, which is good, because his dad does a lot of FDM printing. He's heavily into the FDM stuff. He's got was it the big machine, the bamboo with multiple colors. So that print. So, but he's pretty cool. Yeah, Steve, they were asking about the 125th kit. So there you go. Nobody. 125th kits by the end of this week. So there you go. So if you see it out of stock, they will be in at the end of this week. So hold on to your britches there. Steve is working on it. Trust me, he's always working on it to make sure we have stuff in stock for kits and stuff. Chassis kits, because the chassis kits are wonderful. They're really good kits. Oh, there you go. Nobody's home. You got an answer. So that is basically my week that I've been doing since 2 weeks ago when I started. And again, it's been a learning process to this, and I just basically showed you what I do, and it does take it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes the ability to try and figure out problems, which is you can't get frustrated, because it's easy to get frustrated. So, oh, there you go. Here's a 360 spin of the 55 Chevy George printed. Yeah, there you go. Steve's doing the little spin photos of it. That'd be really cool. So check that out. He's gonna put that on there. Cool. Cool. So, but I hope if anybody else has any questions on anything, I'd be happy to answer. I mean, there were some good questions. Are there different color resins? Can you make a Bugatti? Can you make windshields? Stuff like that. Those are real good questions. If anybody has any other questions, all I can say is that the printers that are out now, They're a lot easier. It's really just a simplicity of getting the file, adjusting it to scale and thickness if you need to, and putting your supports and then slicing it and hitting print. The post stuff is removing it, and you soak it and you take the supports off, and then you soak it in a dirty bath of alcohol. And then once you get all the residue off and it cleaned off for 10 minutes sitting in it, then you move it to a clean one. And you'll know it's clean because the stuff will be a lot clearer than the other one, and it shouldn't be cloudy. And when you let that sit in there 10 minutes, make sure it's squeaky clean. Put it on a paper towel, let it dry. I usually will go and wash it with dish soap. One of the gentlemen on the forum suggested that you could use, I think it's Bark from the forum board. He said you could use Tide detergent to make it really clean. And then you put it under UV cure light, or put it out in the sunlight if you don't have a UV light. The sunlight is UV rays. It will cure it in about 10-15 minutes. One side, and turn it over to get the underside of it. And that's it. You got yourself a body. And those bodies you can grind with a Dremel. I've done it. I'll show you one. Went too far on this 55. This is the thick one, and as you can see, I Dremeled the crap out of it just to test it. To see if it would break or, shatter, which the thinner bodies would shatter, so that's Dremeling it. So that's basically, what I did with that one. So here's a question. Can you choose thickness of bodies and how thick you should body be? Yes, you can through Blender. Blender's a free program for 3D Maker. So it's, yeah, hold on. Yeah, let me make Steve. Hold on a second. That's right. Hold on a second. God, how do I do that? Oh, I forgot how to do that. I forgot how to do that. I gotta make Steve a moderator. Hold on. Shoot. Let me see if I could do that. Hold on a second through YouTube. I gotta do it through. Okay. Steve, you should be a moderator there, so you should be able to post the link. I'm sorry about that. I forgot I had to do that. I had to do that through YouTube. I was trying to do it through Ecamm. That's not going to work through Ecamm. So that should be able to. You should be a moderator. Try it out now, Steve. If you could post the link, let me double check. Oh, I'm blind. I can't see from here. Yeah, you should be moderator. You should be moderator right now, so you have to accept it through YouTube as a moderator. It'll say, you are a moderator, accept. So that should work. Yeah, I got it, Dave. So you should be able to do it. There you go. All right, cool. So there's a link to Slot Car Corner. So Steve has let the cat out of the bag. So there you go, boys. You want a 55 Chevy? You go to Slot Car Corner and you could purchase one through there. So that's how that's going to work. Let's see how bad people want a body, because I think Steve's better off handling this than I would be. So that was the kind of the surprise there. So, just to let you know, so the cat's out of the bag, so everybody knows now. But all right. So, any more questions on anything on resin? So I answered the thickness. So that was Bo's question. So again, Bo, the program's called Blender. It's free to download. I would watch a lot of videos on it. It's very detailed. For thickening the body, I could show you what I do. So here's what I do to thicken the body on Blender. So here's the car that I made flares for, that the 13-year-old Blender master taught me how to do. And it's so here's a copy of the car, and you can see I made flares right there for it, and he told me how to do that, and I think that's pretty cool. But I really like it. So when I thicken this body, I go to what's called Add Modifier. So here's a screen right here, and you put Generate. You select the Generate, and then you go to Solidify. You solidify, and right here, if you go positive, you're making it thinner. You have to go negative. And I'll usually go by millimeters. Say if I want to make it, uh, say 40 millimeters thicker, because I think the file's pretty thin. So I think that'll be good enough. And then that should be, I think, uh, about 100 millimeters. I'm not sure. I had to kind of like get my numbers. I didn't do that, but that's where I set it. And then I save the STL file. So here I go export, and you export it as an STL file because you import it because it is an STL file, and then you name it, and that's how you do. But here's a so you guys know now what I've been messing with here, and trust me, I really appreciate Sam showing me how to do this because I was really lost. You could see how I made flares there. That looks pretty cool compared to the original, and it's again, Blender is a real technical program, so you have to watch videos to learn how to do this stuff. And again, this is where the time comes in, where these guys that charge you for a file, they're charging you a file for a reason because these files take a lot of time to do. And has things called vertices, which are the angles that intersect, and then they have panels, and it's just a bunch of stuff in here. So when you see those 3D cults and what they're charging, I'd be happy to pay for it if they have a finished product and I can print it out. So you got to remember that it takes a little money to get what you want to get. And again, I want to thank Sam. He really was a big help. Thickening the body was easy. I found that out how to do that through a video, but he showed me a series of videos through a YouTube page where you can learn to do this. You can see the difference. That's what I'm want to do is to add flares to make it more, cool. Get a little cool factor there. So, but yep, there you have it. So that's how you thicken the body with there that I showed you. The flare thing is a little bit more involved. So, just letting you know, it's a little bit more time. So, so we have Gene has a question. So, question. When using Blender, are you making the whole body thicker, or you can certain parts of the body? I'm actually doing the whole body, Gene. I haven't really experimented with doing it individual parts. I'm sure you could if you were to select the panels like you did with those flares, and then you could make that part thicker. But I'm doing the whole body in general because, I mean, the whole body to me is just worth making it thicker to survive an impact, because obviously you saw the ones that are really thin, they're just too thin. They don't weigh a lot. A lot of people, one of the questions was how much they weigh. I know the Grand National is 19 grams. That's with the body thickened. The 55, 30 grams. I mean, it's not any different than a resin body, to be honest, if you're a traditional resin body with a mold. So, I mean, one of the questions was, wow, that's pretty thick. Is it heavy? You know what? I don't think that much weight is going to make a difference. I think it'll make the more cars stable because at least you have weight on the body. But I don't know. That's just me. But hope that answered your question, Gene. So, Valentine, 1983, Elmer, welcome to Livestream. How you doing, sir? So you got here, George. Are resin printers different than the Bamboo Lab or 3D Creality printers? So the Bamboo Lab, I don't know. I really don't know much about Bamboo. I know my wife's friend has one, the one that the son taught me how to use Blender a little, how to make those flares. He has a Bamboo one. I think it's it's a filament printer. It's a real expensive one, and it does multiple colors on reel, so you could do multiple layers with different colors, and that's what he does. A Creality printer, they make a filament printer, and then they make a resin printer. So they're just two different materials that they use to create things. Now, filament is really nice. They make a lot of nice stuff out of filament. It makes a lot of moving parts and objects. The problem is when doing an actual car body is that it leaves a lot of lines. Though, there may be tricks to get rid of that, but that takes more time to sand. And that's what's the time consuming part. I had a 3D printed car that I auctioned off. Danny has the car. He won the auction on that car. And when I painted it, you could still see the lines a little. It's a nice car, but the 3D resin really makes a better body because it shows less of that licorice line stuff. There is small amount of lines you can see here, very faint. But when you primer this, and then shoot paint on it, it's hardly noticeable. So I mean, that's the difference. If that, I hope that answers your questions. That's the difference, is the material. The resin is the liquid that it's used a UV light to make layers, where a filament is a filament head that's heated, and it runs around its, what it's printing from a head, and then it cools as it's done printing, making the slice, layers. So I hope that explains it better. There are videos that do a better job explaining that than what I did. I recommend you just researching, hey, what's the difference between resin and filament on YouTube. YouTube really has a lot of stuff, obviously, so it's good that we had it. What the hell we do before YouTube? That's what I wonder. We really sucked before. I mean, I grew up in the time before YouTube. We had dictionaries, and you had to read magazines and model magazines. So it's a lot of different worlds. So there's a lot more stuff at your fingertips. So remember that. You guys can go to Google or YouTube and you can find all kinds of stuff. So I mean, but yeah, no problem, Gene. The weight sounds insignificant. Yeah, it is. It doesn't. I mean, it's not really, a big deal. They're way about the same. And when you put paint on it, you're putting weight, and then decals and clear and whatever stuff you put on it. Little pipes if you wanted to, and mesh windows in the interior. It all adds up after a while. So there you go. So, yeah, no problem. I'm not an expert, but I hope that helped you out with your question. But again, look at YouTube. You could look at, there's a lot of good videos explaining how the plate goes down and how it peels, up, and how it does everything. There's a lot of stuff out there. So thanks. I'm glad that helped. So yeah, go to the library. I remember going to the library. That's what we had to do. Or the home encyclopedia. The encyclopedia salesman used to come to the door to door. You could sell encyclopedias. You had to look up whatever you needed to for school, animals and stuff like that. We have the filament type printers at school. Cool. That's good. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. There's a lot of technology out there, and it's really coming into a head with the slot car scene as far as scratch building goes, and just producing your own stuff. I mean, there's also other guys that do 3D pods, for their pods for other proxies that allow it. You could print a chassis out, stuff like that. There's a lot of things out there. It's pretty cool. Yeah, YouTube is great for sure. It sure is. Hey, welcome, Amps, Stuff, and Things. How you doing? Got a Mars 2 somewhere. You inspired me to dig it out and start with a figure or two, though, before trying a car. So Amps, Stuff, and Things. Welcome to the live stream. I would really look into doing what I don't know if you heard earlier, which is the cones of calibration. Do that first. Just type in the cones of calibration. Use that first before you print anything, and then you could go by that to make sure your settings are right, your exposure settings for the resin you're using, because all the resins are different. I noticed that the Elegoo 3.0 is really milky and thin because they said it's more fluidic compared to the 2.0, which is a little bit thicker. And then you have the Sunlu stuff, which is really thick, and it's like a little bit kind of like syrup, and it's just more dense. So I mean, every resin is different, but you want to get the ABS type. You don't want to get the resin that's like standard, or just for like, washable ones are not really that well. They're very brittle. You don't want to get a brittle one. If you're going to make a slot car body, you need an ABS type. So this way it could survive an impact. They make a real rubbery one, which I don't suggest either. They make some that's just super rubbery elastic. You don't want that. You want the ABS type. If you do a figure, I would recommend it. I mean, you can still do a figure in the regular resin if you want to do that also, if you're not intending on running them over and breaking them, because they do break. And there are guys that have made videos on all that. There's Uncle Jesse. That's his channel. There's Fawhammer. There's Vogman. Those guys are like the real high top three that really do a lot of stuff on printing. They're very good. They explain a lot. And then there's Nerdtronic, which is another one, which is another good channel. So all those channels, just look them up and just research, and you could do it. It's not hard, guys. You just have to put the work into it. But if you're not willing to put the work into it, you want to buy something, Steve just put a link out there. If you want a 55 Chevy, it's available. So, but hope that answered your question, sir. I hope to see you if you're planning on printing. Cool. And again, there's a lot of files out there, like I said. So, all right, we've gone over by 9 minutes. I was intending to only go an hour, but we started talking more and more about printing. So, this was a subject I wasn't really going to bring up, and so if anybody else has any more questions, I'm going to call it a night. And I hope everybody had a happy Labor Day and enjoyed our conversation. And it, hope it helped a lot of people out. And again, if you're interested, you go to SCC. There is a body available if you're interested in doing a showdown car. So let me know if any more questions. I guess there is no more questions, and we'll call it. And I appreciate everybody coming tonight, and it's on Labor Day especially. It's very nice of you. So as always, you guys take care and have fun racing.